Right, it's up and running. Right, we're back up and running. Part 2 with the man, Brian Jørgensen. You've probably noticed in the background of my thing, I've got this new thing on Skype where I've got Brian in the background, so that's a pretty cool feature. But anyway, moving on from that, Brian's going to give us a little tour of his helmets and his glass case over there. Can you give us a little tour there?
Yeah, well, I'm just going to turn it around here. I will put a little bit more light on it. So actually, this first helmet here, on top here is from 2004, which I really like that design. Yeah, that's nice. And that was one of the helmets that I actually raced in one of the motos in Teutzenthal when I won that race. Yeah. And this one's actually from the second moto, which is probably one of my favorite ones. I really like that for so many different reasons. I think it doesn't have a straight line and only one color. You know, it have the Danish flag. It have number 8, which was of course my number those years. And then we have this bulldog in the rear of the helmet, which a lot of people ask me, why do you have a bulldog, you know? But I think in my own definition was probably because I was a kind of a mix between aggressive rider and also a little bit of like a ballet dancer, you know. That's how I kind of see myself, you know, the way I was being aggressive, but also being quite precise and probably some people say stylish. Quite stylish without knowing that I actually was. And then I had this 2000. That was my first painted helmet from Shoei, the end of 2003, and it actually happened from when I started getting on the podium. I could kind of say I really would like to have my own design. So that was the 2 helmet I have from there. And then, you know, like I said before in the previous interview, I said I had Pit Beyer, and I kind of put his thing under there because he was kind of a inspiration for me as well. I also got to say this helmet have a special place in my heart. It was actually my helmet from '98, which was made by Tom Fuller.
Tom Fuller, I've spoken to him.
Yeah, so that was really cool, and that's actually
really nice.
Where that bulldog came up, where my ex-wife dad did the design of the bulldog and draw it in his hand. So this up here is a different story because that was actually my ex-girlfriend that dropped my helmet in the airport, so she broke this, and that was probably the one and the last time that I actually felt that I really want to hit a woman because she dropped that one on the floor, and I was so proud of this helmet, the way he made it, you know, with the fin going into the helmet
here.
So
I remember when everyone had them shark fins on the thing. It was like, didn't it, Jeremy McGrath? It had the flashing light on and stuff, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Yeah. I
had one of them as well.
And then one of my, I mean, I have many memorable trophies from the World Championship, but this one was probably one of my favorite ones. Was actually when I finished my career. I got a career award down in where was it? It was actually Monte Carlo. We had this World Championship where they got handed over the trophies, and I got invited there, and I was like, well, hang on a minute, I have never won a World Championship, unfortunately. But then I got up on stage and I get this career awards, which kind of remember me
really cool.
Being a nice having a nice career, even if I, you know, at that time I was quite disappointed of not getting, you know, to win the World Championship. But after that, you kind of learned how to accept that, you know, if you do your best, you can only get whatever out of it that you can get, you know.
Right. Thanks for showing us that. That was really cool.
No problem.
That was really cool. Right. Next one I got. Although motocross is obviously an individual sport, when it comes to a race, it is deemed a career honour for a rider to be part of their own country's team at the Motocross of Nations. How different are those race weekends to a normal GP? And can you tell us what generally tends to happen at one of those events from start to finish?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I was always proud of that many motocross nations in my career, but it was a mixed feeling because the season was over for me. Whatever how that season came out, or good or bad or whatever.
Yeah.
I kind of knew that I was still individual going to that race because at that time we didn't have the step that we have now with Thomas Olsen, Mikkel Horup, and Bastian Bø. They have actually good riders that can back it up when you do something really good. At that time there was quite a lot of different, without sounding too smart or whatever. There was a lot of difference between me and the other riders. So you're riding and you're racing for yourself, but also you get when you have teammates like that can push to that same level, and it starts to get more like a team effort. We can actually get on the podium here. Let's push. When I did my last Motocross of Nation in the UK, it was in Manly. I mean, I passed my following countrymen. I passed them with 2 laps in 20 minutes plus 2 laps. I passed them 2 laps.
Lapped them.
I lapped them. So it was a little bit dismotivated. And you think you're racing your tits off, doing everything what you can. But you just know that you're not going to hit anything else than the B final. But it was also, it was the same time, it was a pleasure, and meeting up with other guys and try to, help them and inspire them. And my biggest disappointment was probably 2005 when I actually had to pull out of a race because I had, toothache. Like I had never had any problem with my teeth in my whole life. And I thought when people said, it can really hurt when you have what do you call it? Yeah, I don't even what you call it in English.
Yeah, I know what you're on about.
It's some of the nerves when they go in inflammation. I said, can it be that bad? And I remember my ex-wife like 2 months ago, before the Motocross of Nations, said, I have a problem with the pain. I was like, right. But 1 week before the Motocross of Nations 2005 in Ernée, I started getting quite a lot of pain, and I went to my Italian doctor, and he gave me some medicaments, and it kind of went away. And I was like, but he said, those things, you cannot race on those during the GP weekend, so 3 or 4 days before, you got to stop this, and then you'll be okay if it comes to doping control. So I stopped the product, and I was like, okay, like on Friday evening, I was like, a little bit of pain, woke up the next morning.
Jesus.
And I was like, fucking hell, that really hurts. So I went out race, and I can remember, when you gotta have a pee or you have to go to the toilet, everything goes away when you're behind the gate. It doesn't matter what kind of pain but I remember battling with Carmichael at that time, in the qualifying race on the Yamaha, and I felt so much pain because when the blood, the heart rate starts to raise, it pumps the blood.
Yeah.
And I remember, I was unbelievable, and I couldn't sleep at night from Saturday to Sunday, and I went up like 6 o'clock in the morning. I went out to the paramedics because that's where they started there. And I said, give me something really strong. And I said, no, we start with this. That would be okay. That's not on doping list, and you'll be okay. So I sit down in the van for like 20 minutes, like 6:45 or something. It's like, no, we need something stronger. Yeah, but okay, then we need to write out a prescription saying that you take this medicament because you have this pain. But now you will not feel anything. It's like, okay, great. Down with the pill. And like 8:45 when we went out practice, and said, this is not going to happen. I have so much pain. And I went up and I said, I cannot ride. You must have something that's stronger than that. She said, no, then you are not riding anymore. So, but I was so pissed off with that. I had to go, and people say, why didn't you race? I had a problem with my teeth. It was like, what?
Yeah.
So that really pissed me off. But otherwise, it was always a pleasure to ride in motocross. Also to meet the other guys, the best riders in the world. When you can do well there, it's always a great achievement.
I put on the next bit. I've rolling on from that. What was your most memorable Motocross to Nations? It must have been obviously still a privilege to go. What about the first one you did? What was that? The atmosphere and.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of overwhelming a little bit, And at that time, with the Americans coming over and being so dominated, and wanted to show a domination of they're the greatest riders in the world, and that probably was in many ways at that time. Was always fun, but I don't have any a high for me was probably when I passed Carmichael going down that hill and thinking, fuck, I'm top of the world, But otherwise, I have never really done like that extremely well at Motocross of Nations. I think Nîmes in Belgium, 98, no 90, I don't know, 96 maybe. That was also really good because I was battling with Steve Lamson on the factory HRC Honda. Cool. But otherwise, I can actually not remember that many, and then it must be because I haven't done that well.
Yeah, it felt a little bit lonesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Got a little bit of a fun question here. If you could create a dream Motocross the Nations team from any riders of any era, from any country, what would the 3 riders be and why?
Well, is that including myself?
Yeah.
Well, then I definitely think I would team up with Stefan Everts.
Yeah.
And if I could choose 2 other riders, which I of course are very good and very dominate at our area, but I also respect a lot, is definitely Stefan Everts for how he can put 10 seasons together. You got to be really smart doing that.
Yeah.
And then I really respect a lot Ricky Carmichael, which I think is seen as a great rider. Of course, everything what he have achieved, but also the personality of him just being Ricky, which I met him. We're doing the RC training school in Sweden together with Jamie Dubb and Stanton and those guys and Emick, and he was just a really, really nice, general, great guy, and I really appreciate, and that's probably, I hope that a lot of people see me as being, a humble guy. I've never been the GOAT of riding a motorcycle, but I think the consistency of being who I am and being humble if I'm good or I'm bad or whatever, it's not about that. It's about, showing the world also that even if you are the best of what you're doing, you got to be humble and you got to be putting up a great example for yourself, but also for people, that you don't have to be an asshole just because you're good at something, If you can be humble and you can be, appreciating the fans and the people around you and still be really, really good, then I think for me that means a lot more, because what you have to remember is that when you're racing, all the people that love you, you see on the way up, but when you're going the other way around, and you're not there anymore, then you're not an idol anymore. It's kind of I would rather be memorized as identity and personality of being a great guy. I want people to remember me as, of course, with some of the achievements I've done, because I know that was really hard work, but mostly for who I am as a person.
It's like a respect thing that we were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to be respected for being who I am and not the results that I have produced because of hard work and whatever that the motivation to do that,
It's a good thing in life in general, really, to be like that.
Yeah, and it can always slip or whatever. You sometimes it's not always easy to go to the gate and people want to talk and people can but okay, that's why you have to look at yourself in the mirror, that I am actually going down to the gate and know the risk of racing and not being focused is that high. So sometimes you think, I don't give a fuck. They can speak with me when I come in, because now I need to go and do my job, because that's what people pay me to do.
Yeah, it's game time.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying. Right, next one I've got. You've achieved a bucket list moment for any racer in 2004 when you won an MXGP round with a double win in Germany. What do you remember most about that weekend, and what was it about the track that suited you and everything came together that weekend?
Like, that's a very emotional question, because that weekend was very, very special to me of different reasons, of coming into the 2004 season with a great 2003 season, with being 4th in the world, had 5 or 6, 7 podiums in a row. Actually thinking, fuck, I can go into this off season and I will work my ass off. And I actually have the team, the experience, the motivation, you know, everything to set off and to be a world champion the following year, you know. So that's what I did, and finally before the season, everything fell to pieces because of a ignition failure from testing, you know. And I got, you can see, diagnosed with an inflammation in my left hand with a carpal tunnel syndrome. So I couldn't feel the handbars after 10 minutes. Still achieved quite well in Zolder. I was in, you know, suddenly I was in the lead and finished second, I think, in the first moto, where I think I didn't even know how that happened, you know. I was riding so bad. In Spain, where I whole shotted the first moto, and I was leading until the lever went, the gear lever went through the engine and all the oil came out. I was almost won the second moto, even if I couldn't feel my hand. But it got worse and worse, and then I kind of backed off and said, you know, I need to make operations. So I knew when I said that, then that was that world championship. My dream of winning a world championship kind of disappeared a little bit, because I also could feel my body at the same time. I was pushing it so hard. And at that time, I didn't knew better that, you know, sometimes you can say more is less. So
overtraining.
I was overtraining. I wanted to do that last effort, to do that little bit more, but it came out a little bit more wrong. So going into Teutzenthal was actually my first race after the injury of my hand. Had operation, still have stint in my hand, and like I said before in the interview, you know, I went into the gym. I did the motos down in my cellar. At the same time, I did the GP. I did the cycling for 40 minutes. I went off, you know, 1.5 hour break, and I went down, did the moto again. So I was still like psychological. I was in that game, and I remember having a poster of Joel Smith, and at that time we didn't. I was probably because I felt he didn't respect me at that time, you know.
Okay.
So
your motivation.
I had a lot of motivation to go and beat him, and that started already from the year before, actually, in Teutzenthal, when he was behind me for almost all the moto, and then on Eurosport he said, I don't remember this guy. He was pissing me off. He was in front of me. What was his name? And I was like, fucking, you don't remember my name and number, you fucking idiot. So I put this Akrapovic poster down in my workshop when I did the cycling or interval training in Italy, and I put, I'm gonna fucking beat you one day. So in 2003, when that came to that race in Bulgaria, I was fighting with him the whole moto, and I hit him very hard. I let him actually go past me on that big tabletop. And when we turned left after the finish line jump where pit buyer crashed, I just had to ran him, because I really want to create that respect for other people, you know. I was not just a pretty boy that just was there just because it's fun, you know. I fucking train very hard to get here. And I want to earn respect, you know. So I think that race meant a lot to me, going to Teutzenthal with being injured, lost the chances of whatever you can say of winning a world championship is never excuse for me, but I think if I had any chance, it was probably that year, you know. And then I prayed to my dad, you know, which I lost when I was 16. And that was the first time I ever lay down on the ground and lay myself flat and said, you know what, I really need some backup here, you know. I've done all this alone. I created a name. I really want to win, and I want to go back next weekend in Teutzenthal and just do good, so I can, because I knew also for myself that I wanted to really stay with that team as contract, you know. So I went there and just did a couple of fast laps and qualifying, and I was like top 3, and I was like, And I remember calling my mom as well. I said, you better be there this weekend, because I think, you know, I would really enjoy to come back here. So, and I never really particular liked that track so much, you know, but there was something special. I don't know what it was.
Could you sense it? Yeah. Could you sense?
Yeah. And then I went out in first moto, and I was second behind Stripers, and I passed him going up that first uphill, and I remember watching it on TV. I jumped straight in front. I almost never shut off, and I jumped and I land and I just turned inside,
That corner.
How the fuck I did that, I don't know. And then I won that first race, and I was like, okay, that was 29 years of working really hard, or 28 years. How did that come about just today, But I didn't have a lot of time to think, so I went down after that moto, and I was doing my cycling. Everyone was like coming over, that's amazing, and the team, and everyone was so happy. My mom was crying and everything, and I was like, fucking just shut up, just let me. There's one moto, in 1.5 hours, and that's
don't make me a mess.
Yeah. So I did my cycling focus. I went up and had my massage and everything between motos, and went out in the second moto, whole shot at that race, and basically just won that race by 100 of a second. And so I was the only rider that year that led for 40 laps, 20 laps in each motor, and won my first Grand Prix in the major class, and not being lucky, but just actually did it fair and square.
Yeah, proper winning.
So on the podium, I remember looking up to the sky and thinking, you bastard. We did it. I kind of think that it was my own determination that brought me there, but I actually thought, okay, I think I reached a little bit of health. If there's anything I do believe in, it's probably when people are passing away, they're still looking down on us, and that's what I always did before racing. I could drop into tears just looking up to the sky and just thinking of him. So I remember that I could have the 5 second, when the 15 second and the 5 second, and I did like this and look up to the sky. There could be tears running down my chins, and I would just have goosebumps, and then I was ready to go. So yeah,
that's cool memory, nice memories.
Yeah,
that's really cool. Okay, next one I've got. You were involved in arguably one of the toughest eras of our sport, competing with obviously the likes of, as you mentioned, Everts, Smets, Pichon, these guys. What do you believe you needed to do differently in order to win more Grand Prix at the time? Your best result obviously was 4th in 2003.
Yeah. I know exactly what I should have done different. I thought when you are close to your goal, you just train a little bit more, and then your goal will come to you. And what I have learned from that, and that I learned mostly just from looking at other riders and helping other riders, thinking I find it a lot more easy to tell my mistakes and correct the mistakes than it was for me to actually correct my own mistakes, because I had so much will and determination to win. But when I look back at now at my career, I definitely think I trained too much at the wrong time, and the concept of less is more. I could be completely finished and didn't want to go cycling, didn't want to go training, and then I think, fuck, you're a hypocrite, get up, do your training, and then I will go out in Italy in the mountains, and then I will see one guy on top, and I will be like, what is he doing? He's pulling away. Fuck it, I'm gonna, and then I will destroy myself completely, because I didn't have that self-control and confidence enough just to go out and just ride a little bit, So you can say that I was my own worst enemy. And at that time, I wish, and I was trying to get actually Willy Lindy on my team that was working permanently with Stefan Everts. But there was a lot of relation there with Stefan and his dad, and he was probably also making a lot more money than me. So to spend that money on a trainer, I was not sure if that will give me the edge, But training too much and stressing myself too much was definitely my mistake. Why I didn't achieve because most of my podium came out from a little bit forced injury where I had to rest, and then I came back and I was like fucking ready to go.
So it's just that sort of catch-22, the rest and the fitness. You just got to get it right, that combination.
Yeah. And I didn't have that feeling with my own body. I could always, I don't feel pain, and I don't, when I'm training, I'm not a rider or training guy that I love the pain. It's really weird. And today I hate it because of course I still think I'm quite fit. But when I put something in my mind, in my head, that I'm going to go around, I'm going to do 70 kilometers and I will not go under 32 kilometers an hour in average, and it's really windy out there, and that I haven't seen. I still want to go after that goal because that's what I put in my head, because I never have that concept. When I do something, if I do 2 hours, I would never do 1 hour and 59 minutes, I would do 2 hours. And that's, I hate that with myself now, because now I could just go out and have fun,
Yeah. It's almost like you're almost too determined sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But
it's like I said, a bit.
Yeah, it's easier to teach other people not making the same mistakes. And I think that's the whole thing of being a coach and helping other people, is actually not so much about what I have achieved, but more about the mistakes that I made, but I've also learned from. Accepting that yourself, that you have made mistakes, fair enough, but don't make the same mistakes with your riders,
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So that's good that you can put that into action then.
Yeah.
Right. You've stopped racing professionally in 2007. How difficult of a decision was this to make? And did you achieve everything you had set out to achieve when you started your motocross journey?
Not at that time. When I finished fourth in the world, whatever I have achieved in life, I want to be third. If I was third, I want to be second, and that's just a normal growth of or thinking of a champion and someone that wants to win. Of course, I never settled for anything less than the best. But it was a huge disappointment. Like I said earlier, I was forced to stop because I felt my body and mind couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't be better than what I already have achieved. I had, knee injuries from when I was quite young, and I learned how to ride a motorcycle without putting my knees down. I did a lot of, different things to be able to continue and use my balance toward my advance, standing up, never put my legs down, and if I wanted to be a little bit faster, and I had to take a little bit more risk, but I was not willing to take that risk anymore, because I knew if I put the leg out in a wrong way, because you're just taking that little bit of risk, it would really hurt, So, and I started getting some problem with my back, and I was just over. I picked myself up from the ground so many times, and I managed to come back. And when I stopped my professional, you can say, when I stopped my world championship career in 2006 at Motocross of Nation in Madley, I mean, I remember Stefan was coming up to me. He was a little bit drunk, but he said, "Brian, I really respect you from what you have achieved, and I definitely respect you from always coming back after the small injuries. And if I had to go through the same small injuries, that I never had big injuries, but everything, there was a little bit something going wrong because your body started giving up." He said, I would have finished many years ago. So that's a compliment for me. I know he was drunk, but you said either you listen to young people or drunk people, and that where you get the truth.
Yeah, exactly.
So I felt that I couldn't pick myself up anymore. So it was time to stop. But I think it's a very, very difficult time through your life, because you are going through a different, you basically drop all your identity of what you have built up so many years, Brian Jørgensen here, and suddenly you're like, who am I now?
Transition over,
because also you don't prepare, in mental state, you don't prepare yourself for when it's gonna end. You know that it's gonna end, but you don't know how it's gonna end.
Don't think about it,
And suddenly it's like that. I went out. I remember it was the middle of the 2006 season and before Europe, and I thought, you know what? I don't enjoy it, because I'm becoming an excuse of myself, and that means that I had to tell the press that I had problems with my back, which I really had a lot of pain. But I was just hearing myself saying all those words, and I'm thinking, how will they believe me? Last weekend my back was okay, and now it's with one click, because of my coccyx was starting getting damaged. It was really getting into my back as well. And with one click in the practice, I could be top 3 or whatever, and one click the seat will hit my coccyx and it will bend. I will be done. I couldn't move my pelvis anymore, and then I had to tell people, but you last lap you did fucking awesome, and now you cannot ride a bike. So I became an excuse of myself, and I didn't enjoy that. I was here of pure determination and will to be the best, and for myself, and I couldn't be excused of myself, and that's why I stopped. But I remember I went on a long cycle, and it was a really tough decision. I remember calling my mom, and I said, you know what, Mom, I think I'm gonna stop. And she said, you know what, I think it's a good idea. Come home. And that's where I kind of think, yeah, she's right. She was the first one to, when I said I'm gonna start my professional career, or should I finish my education as a plumber? And she said, you go and do whatever your dream will be. You can always be a plumber, So I think that was the wise word from her, and I respected that also when I had to go the other way around and stop my career.
That was nice.
But it was difficult.
Yeah, I'm sure. Never easy. Right, the next one. You become the national coach for Denmark after your riding career finished. How did this role come about, and what were your duties over the 3 years you did that for?
Yeah. Well, it basically came around that 2006 I finished my professional career as doing World Championship. I did 1 year of Danish Championship, and I did some other races like in Sweden and so on. And that was just to kind of finish everything off, because going from that, I remember finished the 2006 season, and then I signed my contract with Kawasaki in February. And I didn't ride between at all, I was like just so much over it, And then I started training in February again. And when I went to the first race, I actually got beaten. And I was like, okay, hang on a minute, maybe I will get back. That will never happen again. And from that day, I started winning again, and then I won the championship. But I lost the question there. What was the question?
I was about, obviously, you did the national coach for Denmark for 3 years.
Yeah, so after 2007, I kind of announced that if I win this championship, which I knew that I'm going to do, or try to do, and then I wanted to really work with the young riders. So they asked me if I want to do it, and I started with 10 riders in the team, and it was really difficult for me to understand what kind of level that we were on, because if we have elite riders was probably something different in my mind than what the national federation. And I have never in my entire life been controlled by other people where I want to do and what I want to say. I'm a very honest guy. It's never always good to be completely honest, but that's what you get when you work with me as a coach as well. I will tell you exactly how it is, and I don't put anything between, But that didn't came up always as handy, It's like, you have those riders, and when you work with 10 riders, you gotta get the best out of it. And I'm like, okay, do we work with donkeys, or do we work with fucking racehorses? Because you just have to let me know. Because if we are working with donkeys, then the job is not for me. So I did 3 years there, and I finally understood that it was not about doing racehorses. It was about doing quantity and trying to get someone through with like Olsen and those guys and Rasmus Jørgensen, which I was really happy to work with. But that was 2 out of 10 riders that I knew that. So I actually want to cut that down, and I said, okay, stop all the bullshit. This is the amount, all the money. If we have any money, we should put the effort on those 3 people, the 2 Olsen brothers and Rasmus, and then was a couple of others that also did a lot of effort. And I think that's where I want to put. So I can cut that group down from 10 to 4 people. And that's what I did over those 3 years. And then they actually came back with a question and said, now we don't need a national coach because we only have 4 people. So I said, yeah, but there's only going to be one world champion. So do we need fucking 10 donkeys down the road, or do we need to have a world champion? Just tell me. And they couldn't really be clear on that question. And that's why, I kind of said, this not going to work for me. So, but it was, nothing bad said. It was just like, it didn't fit. It didn't fit my mentality.
The way you were.
I hope that I inspired still some young riders that probably got a little bit shocked over, what I wanted to do and how much I wanted to train with them. I remember, I was working also a little bit with Horup a little bit later in his in my period of time when I stopped the National Federation, and his dad said that you're too hard. But he, and he was only riding 65. But when people tell me they want to be the best, and at that time when he was 9 years or 8 years old, the dad said, we want him to ride the world championship. And when someone says that to me, it's the same when you say to Hell's Angels that you're going to shoot someone, that's going to happen, And if you would say to me that you want to do the world championship, this is how we do it. We don't fuck around, because I know how, tough that sport is. And if you don't prepare already from being young, then it's going to be really, really difficult.
Yeah.
So, but it was a nice experience. I worked 3 years there, and then I finally started my own company. Later on in my training career, I did something with the second federation in Norway. That was my second federation job, and I did that for 2 years, and that was also really difficult. And that's where I probably decided that, either you quit or you just start your own company and try to make it as good as you can,
Yeah, implement your own ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. My next thing was to say, what do you believe makes a good coach, and what is your style of coaching to get the best out of your riders during the training, etc.?
Well, actually, that's a very simple question for me, because what is the good thing about me never being world champion is that there is no only my way. Like if you're working with, let's say, for example, Stefan Everts, it could be that, I don't know Stefan as a trainer. So, but I think, of course you have, okay, guys, I've been 10 times world champion. This is how we do it. We do this and we do that and we do it, But because I never won a world championship, and I think the variation of being a good coach is actually being able to adapt to the person that you're working with. Yeah. That could be Mikkel Horup have this character, and then you have Thomas Olsen having this character, and you have to switch between those two characters, and you cannot compare one with the other one. So I think that's the talent of being a coach. I think is to actually be able to look at that person, understand his personality, and to do that you have to be a very good human recognizer,
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the most important thing, and actually also giving them opportunities, saying let's try this, let's try that, and then finding out also when I work with Barilakov, for example. There was a lot of things that I was shocked that he was not doing. Putting a lot of responsibility into the Dixon team, where but Steve is buying the food or he's doing that, and I'm like, but who's fucking eating the food? That's you, yeah. So what you want to put in your mouth probably comes off what you actually go out and buy, and don't rely on everyone or anyone. Don't rely on yourself. You have to rely on your mechanic. That you have to rely on, because you cannot be the rider and the mechanic. But everything that you put in your mouth, how you drink, what you eat, how you train, how you rest, how much you go on Facebook and everything else you do in life, that's your responsibility. Yeah. So I think, being able to recognize that as a coach, saying he's unstructured, he doesn't have any structure in his life. That's where we need to work. He can ride a fucking motorcycle, so I will barely touch that side of his strength. But I need to work with his weaknesses, because that's why he hired like a coach like me, because I've been there. I was very structured from when I got up in the morning, when I did my cycling, what I eat, and I did the same. What you call every weekend when you do it consistently, you have routines.
Routine.
I had a very structured routine, and I think that was part of my success when it came up to the MXGP class. Having my own camper, do exactly the same thing, because when the weekend was finished, if I had a good weekend and a bad weekend, if it was hot, dry, whatever, I did more or less the same thing every weekend. I did my cycling, I did my waking up, I did everything I organized on Friday evening. And I think that's really important to, and that's what I see some of the young riders, they can ride a motorcycle better than I could at their age, for sure.
Yeah.
But if you don't have routines and you don't have structure in what you do, when you do it, and how you do it, it's gonna be fucked up. It's gonna be difficult.
Yeah.
Competing with Jeffrey Hurlings, which have a structure. Caroli, which have a structure. Prado, which have a structure and a fucking huge talent to ride a motorcycle. I mean, so this is some of the things that I can bring in. It's not always necessary the technical part, because they are quite gifted today, because you can see how many good riders there is, and sometimes you think, fucking hell, why have what is his name, the UK rider? Why have Conrad Muse never won a world championship? Fucking, I don't know. Because if you look at the capability of that rider, I mean, it's enormous. When I see him down in Red Sign every year, and I'm down there doing coaching, I mean, I'm thinking every year that he's going to win a world championship. But why he's not getting that, I mean, that I don't know, because I don't know him that close up, I think with being with Steven Swart this year and having
I see that,
a trainer around, I think that would have made a huge difference. Then the coronavirus came, and then everything got fucked up anyway. But hopefully, I don't even know how old he is, but he's a really good rider, and I cannot believe that he's not been top 3 in the world yet. I don't understand it. But that's what I mean. That's why I start appreciating as a coach. I start appreciating my own results, because I find out, fucking hell, this is not easy. It's really difficult to do. 10
to put everything together.
Yeah, and that's why I have deep respect for Stefan Edwards as a person, but mostly as the way that he did it, because win 10 times. I mean, for me to put if I have like 5 good seasons or 4 good seasons out of 10, I was very lucky. So I think that's the goal of being a coach for me, is like I really wanted to teach them how not to do it, and I have a good basic of saying that, because I made all those mistakes. I was not perfect, but I became, and when I became aware of all those things, I was too old, basically. My body couldn't take it anymore. It'd been like trying too much,
But you've got all the experiences now to pass it all on.
Yeah, and I really, really enjoy that. And I I haven't worked. I said no to many offers for the World Championship, working with Paul Jonas in the Red Bull KTM, because I have a family and so on. Now my life is a little bit different, and my kids start growing up. I'm separated, and I really wanted to go out and try and see, maybe to work with some more good riders, because I think I have so much to give, in so many different ways. So maybe the opportunity will come up again a little bit later in my life.
That'd be interesting to see if that happens.
Yeah.
Right, next one I got. What does a motocross season now look like for Brian Jørgensen? How often can you be found at the motocross track, etc.?
Well,
not at the moment.
No, I mean, last year was of course like a life in roller coaster, because we separated in end of 2018, and we've been together for 20 years. So it's never easy. Even I think it was a good decision for both of us, and I don't live in that regrets. But it's always difficult to move apart, because you're standing there with a new identity again. You have to be the soft and the hard one, and taking care of everything. I have in the moment I have the children 7 days a week, and she have them 7, and I really enjoy my kids. But also, it's a lot of new things that you have to deal with. Like you have in a relationship, you have some people that are good at this, and then you do this, and cooking. What, for example, never my strong side, because I never did it so much. But now actually. I would say that I don't still enjoy it, but I do it, and I need to do it. So when I get my head around it, I have to make, sometimes my son is coming over and said, "Have you made this?" And I said, yeah, I can actually make food if I really want to, But everything else with the cleaning around the house and getting, I feel I'm a little bit of a woman and a man, I'm doing everything. I'm cleaning, and I probably, even my ex-wife, when she come in and pick up the kids, she said, "It's so clean. Why could you not have cleaned so much when we were together?"
Yeah. Yeah.
And now I have almost OCD. It's like everything have to be perfect. But also now it's like when I'm here alone for the days that the kids are not here, it's like when I put everything straight. I mean, I know it's gonna be straight when I come back home, and I know it's gonna be straight when I leave. And where the kids is here is like a mess after half an hour.
Yeah.
So. But I think the answer to that question is that I wanted to be seen a lot more, but to be honest with you, I haven't had the right focus on it. Even if I train a lot, I kind of think, okay, what is important to keep my personal being me? I need to train, and I need to get that power out of my body with training, with power training or cycling or something like that. And then if I have time in spare, I would do it. But if I don't feel good in my head and I don't feel focused, then I also have so much respect for the motocross that I know that will have so high consequences. And I know that I'm not 25 years anymore. Sometimes anyway. I am, and apparently I am, which I don't believe. I think someone have fucked my passport up, but anyway, to say I'm 45 years old, and I just cannot even believe it when I say it. But I feel really great in my own body, and I feel really great mentally. So I was actually supposed to do a couple of races this year. I even said to Roy Emberson, which I borrowed the Honda from in 2017 or 18, that I want to do Farley Castle. But that must be next year. Next year, Rodney, we're gonna be millionaires. So, so I really hope that me and Dave King can make something happen for next year. And I really, because I still enjoy to ride, but I can feel you longer that you pull it out. You more. I went out riding like some weeks ago, and I had my brand new Yamaha 450 and when I actually put my helmet on, I feel like I'm thinking in my head that I cannot ride a motorcycle, and then I do 2 laps, and then I feel exactly the same as I did, when I raced really good, Maybe I don't look the same, but anyway, it's about belief, Yeah. And but then I'm also really sore. I hate that feeling of being not only sore in your hands or your underarms, but just the whole body is just destroyed like 3 or 4 days after. So I'm like, fuck, but I still do enjoy it, and I think I have an amazing opportunity with Yamaha being the Blue Crew trainer here in Scandinavia, and hopefully I will get the job also be doing the Blue Crew Yamaha Europe, where we have the Motocross of Nation and the masterclass with the great program that Yamaha have. So we will see about that, and then I attempt to ride the bike quite a lot when I'm in Red Sand. I don't ride the bike to show them that I can still go, but because my technical skills and riding the motorcycle and looking the lines are quite natural, I just want to say that you can ride the bike still pretty fast without actually using any energy, because I'm not depending on being really strong like I was before. I'm more depending and more aware of using the right power at the right places, making sure that I grip the bike, with the biggest muscles that I have in my body, So hopefully I am gonna be more to seen. I was also planning to do Glen Helen this year in the US. I don't think that's gonna happen as well. But I'm only 25, so maybe next year.
We look forward to that next year then. If it's Farley's on, I'll be there as well. So
are you gonna ride then?
Definitely not.
No.
Me, it's been 20 years. 20 years.
Yeah.
That's too long.
Yeah.
You're a fit guy now, and you're already talking about being sore for 3 or 4 days if you have a ride. Imagine.
Yeah, but that's what amazed me. Like I'm thinking, with all the hours that I put in training and physical training, and with the cycling and stuff, I'm struggling with just holding on to the grip, and I'm thinking, well, I'm actually doing quite a lot of work in the gym, and I use my hands quite a lot, And I'm thinking, well, fuck, how would normal people that have been good motocross rider and stay off the bike? I mean, if I haven't done this, and do it, I would just have left the fucking helmet on the shelf. I would never take it out again, because you get so disappointed of yourself, because you in your mind you have that thing.
Yeah.
But then I also know because I do quite a lot of training, and I am really thick. Also heart rate, I feel really fit, Then with a couple of more times, I can actually start riding like how I know I can ride,
Yeah. I think that's what worries myself as well, is that I always sort of did well in the UK in schoolboy level, and I just don't really want to go back and have a little cruise round like an old man. I don't.
To be honest with you, Lee, like it was only like 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago that I actually put my name and number on my back.
You didn't want people to know.
Otherwise, I left it out mostly. But because of my still existing style and the way that I ride the bike, people will guess quite quickly. Yeah. Even when I'm in Sweden, up in north of Sweden, or not north, but like in middle of Sweden, people come over me. I was like, "Are you Brian Jørgensen?" I was like, "Why?"
What are you going to say first?
Yeah, you ride pretty good. You looks like you rode a Jeep. Oh yeah, it's me. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. That's funny. That is. That's cool.
But it's the constant battle of yourself, not disappointing yourself. I don't. Yeah. To be honest with you, I don't give a shit about what people think, because I know who I was.
Yeah.
But it's about disappointing yourself. That's the whole point.
Yeah. I'd be hands on grips would be like a cheese grater. I'd be like.
But I tell you, my son is riding 65. The day that he's gonna beat me, and he said, "I'm gonna beat you one day." That's I say, yeah, but that's gonna be when I'm fucking in a wheelchair or something.
Yeah.
So no, it would happen.
Still got that competitive edge. I've still got that as well. Yeah.
Definitely.
Right, the next one I've got up. Are there any riders you're currently training that you believe have the potential to become a professional rider? I've got down here future world champion. That's maybe a bit steep, but.
You know what? There's always a lot of people that ask me, "What do you think? Do you think my kid can be a world champion?" And you know what? As I say, as a standard question, everyone can become a world champion if they want to become a world champion. But then there's some other riders that you work with and you think, "Fuck me." And this rider have discovered quite recently, which actually won the Blue Crew Masterclass last year, was Freddie Bartlett.
And nice dad, yeah.
Yeah, that kid, it's a really, really amazing kid. And his dad doesn't quite know it yet, what I'm gonna do for that kid, but he will find out quite recently, or quite briefly, that what I'm gonna do. But I wanna really work with him, because a great family, an awesome kid, but mostly the capability of understanding what I say. Not only what I say, but just you can work with many great riders and a lot of determination. But when you have a rider that have the talent to actually copy exactly what you say, and you only have to say it one time. Yeah. And that kid he's only 11 years old. I mean, he just turned 11. He was still 10 when I was up there, like some weeks ago, working with him and riding around on a deep sand track, where I'm thinking, fair play, So there's a lot of good riders that I work with which have the potential, but that's probably one of the recent riders that I start working with on the Yamaha regime, Blue Crew, whatever, that I really want to take in personally and do something with that kid, because I know the financial situation, it's not going to bring him there, but the talent and the will and determination will get him there if he gets with the right people.
Yeah, so you can really see that.
Yeah, so that's, and I also have another guy called Anton Nordstrom, which is 17 years old, that rides the 450. So we will see. I would rather not say too much, but let's just the results show the progression. The only problem is that he actually live in a country where you're not allowed to ride any races until you're 12 years old. So that was a little bit of a bummer. Yeah. And with this year being said, I really want him to go out and prepare with him all winter, and then do the European next year, because I think, he's going to be a little bit same example of Roxon. Do you remember Roxon and actually Charlier, which was doing the European Championship together? You could see that Christophe Charlier was a lot stronger. He was a little bit faster, but he didn't do it with technique. And Roxon was going around. He was probably not higher than the bottle here. And he was just using that Suzuki with low seat, in the torque range, and just riding the bike. Incredible. And I said already there, I didn't know him that well. And I said, that kid, I mean, the way that he rides that bike, going almost the same speed as some guy that is probably about 4 or 5 years older than him, and a lot taller and stronger, he's going to be something, that kid. And 2 years after, he was already going into the World Championship, and, done quite well.
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah. So, so we will see.
Yeah,
but very exciting.
Yeah, very interesting. I've been seeing stuff online as well, so I'll keep following that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
What have I got here? Are there any riders actually from the UK that you've seen? Any talents that you've seen?
Recently, I mean, I had a great group a couple of years ago, which I'm still hoping, with Bobby Bruce and Joe Risi, but they're a little bit older than what I talk about with Freddie. But amazing riders, like Bobby Bruce was really, really good, or is still good. But there's a lot of sides to being a professional rider. It's not only about talent. It's not only, you also have to to have the backup from home, and the structure, and the will and determination, but I think there's plenty of good riders in the UK that they can do something really good. There's probably also other riders that I have not even mentioned. I actually, what was the riders that he rides with number 6 on a Husky. He rides in the 85 class. He rides with number 6. I cannot remember his name. And just now I'm really terrible with names, so he probably sits out there and he thinks, fuck me, how can he not remember? But he rides with the JRG, John. I cannot remember his name, but he rides with number 6. Probably anyone that follow this will know who I'm talking about. But he's a really good rider as well. I've seen him down and worked with him a little bit in Red Sand, and you probably have more that I have not even.
I've heard about the one you mentioned, Joel Rizzi. I've heard a bit about him, and I watched him at Fox Hill in the British Championship in the youth class. Yeah, he does look a talent.
Yeah, he's really, really good. I worked with him 1 year when I had a group together in the UK with Bobby Bruce, Joe Risi, Jake Shipton, Ben, what's it called? I cannot remember. But a really good group of riders, and I really enjoyed working with them. But it's also difficult, and then I got separated, and it's difficult to go over and do always in the UK, because it's it is difficult to rent the tracks, or you can rent the track, but it's really difficult. It's quite a lot of money, and it's a little bit easier, let's say, to prepare for the season when they come down to Red Sand and you have all the structure and everything there. The perfect combination if you want to be a professional rider with the gym, tracks, cycling. I can be a lot more structured. So that's what I attempt to do a lot more, and also for this winter.
The $1 million question that obviously everyone asks in Great Britain, UK, whatever you want to say. Obviously, we've not had a world champion since Jamie Dobb in 2001, I think it was.
2002.
I think it was 201, wasn't it?
Maybe 1 year, actually, because
it was 201, I think it was.
Yeah, it was.
KTM with Kurt Nick on that, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I think it was 2001. So obviously everyone's doing that. When are we going to get a next world champion? How do we have to work the grassroots to get to that stage? But obviously it's $1 million question.
Yeah.
Support, that sort of thing.
I think that the most important thing is that when you have a talent, and make sure that he doesn't grow too much in his own country, because then he becomes a champion in his own country. And then, you know, when you are very successful, and that's probably was my good thing in my career, I got very successful very quickly. I thought I could almost fly. And then I got brought down to my feet, and I was really shit. And then I kind of picked it up again, and then I never took for granted. And then I was able to challenge myself all the time, thinking, okay, the first time I won the Danish Championship, I thought, that's it. When I won the European Championship, I never settled. I kind of thought, fuck, now it's the big scene. I want to go out. I know I'm going to be so bad. My first year, I finished when I did as a private. I got a couple of points, and then I signed with Rob Hooper, and I got more professional side of it, and I finished 11 in my first year of being a professional in the World Championship, you know. Yeah. So what I was able always to challenge myself, because I never settled, you know. I never wanted to just to be the best here or there. I wanted to challenge the next thing, and that's one of the things. Some of the things that you do in the UK, you have so many different series. You have the Bridgestone, or you have the Dunlop, or whatever. You have the Youth Championship, the British Championship. But I couldn't find out when I worked with all those riders in the UK. Who is doing what? I mean, if I'm coming over, am I going here and there? You know, can you just have one championship and then we can do that, you know? Yeah. So I think you have so many opportunity of different series that you attempt just to stay there and be the champion in that series. Yeah. And I think that's a little bit wrong. Go out and challenge yourself when you're good at doing something in the British Championship, whatever you call it. Fucking go on, try to go to Holland, try to go to Germany, get kicked your ass, and then you really know what your character is. You know, can you take that pressure, and can you take that challenge to be able to all the time challenge yourself to be better and never settle?
Don't stay in the comfort zone, as it were.
What's that?
Don't stay in the comfort zone if you think you can, if you've got the potential. Yeah.
And that's what you know. My brother also raced, and he was many times Danish champion. But he never wanted to get out of that comfort zone. You know, he didn't want to challenge him to the next step. He was happy just being Danish champion, which nothing wrong with that. But that was just not my character. I wanted to be the best in the world if I could, and even if I didn't. You know, I didn't make to be the best. I'm glad that I challenged myself to, because that comes into a situation in the situation I am in now. You know, there's a lot of different challenges. You know, but I never settle. I try to, at least I try to be the best dad. I try to be, the best boyfriend or whatever that will be in my life. You know. Yeah. Maybe I never succeed at it, but at least I have the idea that I'm doing, my best to do it. Yeah. So that was my.
Cool. Yeah. All right, we've got a couple left. Can you tell us about your Brian Jørgensen training school and how is that all going?
Well, it's been definitely a bit of a challenge here in the Corona. But I think I'm my weakness of being who I am and what I'm probably not so good at promoting myself as what I have achieved, and I can see a lot of other coaches are promoting themselves a lot better and stronger than what I am. Mm-hmm. But because I'm a little bit of a humble guy, it's like it's a really difficult combination for me. Mm-hmm. So I feel that I should have took those chances working with Goldenhoff, getting the chance like last year and with Paul Jonas, just to see if I have that edge to work with the best, and that's probably what I'm looking at a little bit now. I love to work with people that have high ambitions, because I think I can help in any level. But because I was on that level myself, and I was missing that little bit, and I also talked a little bit with Ben Watson coming into this season, and I kind of really wanted to do it, but also know that it was a little bit too soon regarding my kids and organization here, But if I get that chance again, I will definitely take it, because I know I have so much to give, So, but most of my training I do also in the winter down in red sand, and I have my own homepage which is called mx8.dk, and I'm making a new website which is going to be ready here in the middle of August, and then I'm going to start announcing. I really want to do like boot camp and for better riders down in red sand, because it's such a perfect combination. You are close to the sea, so you can do, you know, the stretching, a little bit running in the morning, and I love structure. I love, you know, to have, you know, doing the same thing at certain times. You know, I'm very. It's like 9 o'clock, and then it's 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. We do this, and because I know that's what it takes to be really good at something. You know.
Yeah.
And there I can really structure it myself, because you have the people that takes care of the track. There's always water, it's already done. And a lot of people think, yeah, but it's expensive to stay there, and what about this? And so, well, how many places in the world you go out to a practice track, you come out, Jeffrey Hurlings is there, you have Glenn Cope, whatever there is riders that is there, you know, you can really watch if you want to watch, you know, some of the best in the world. You have an ambulance that's staying there all day. So if something happens, which is also important for me when I'm coaching, you know, I'm always afraid that something gonna happen, you know, because you not always know the people that you're working with, and you know that sometimes you can work with people that really want to impress you. And I'm like, the first thing I said, you know, don't impress me, because that would take a lot. So just ride, you know, and do your own personal best. So there's a lot of things that I want to do around that structure. And can see the structure for young riders. But otherwise, you know, I do red sand, I do some summer camps. I'm working with different riders like Bartlett, and I'm working with that little Yamaha team in Sweden, trying to create also some talent from the bottom coming up, you know. But in the same time, I kind of think, you know, in the mental side of it, I'm ready to work, you know, with the good riders, because now I know my kids are in a good place in their life. They're 10 and 12. You know, I can still take them around to some of the races, and it could be. And I'm probably not gonna stay forever in my own country. I kind of have the dreams of living, you know, in Spain in the future. You know.
Yeah, I was going to say, is there anywhere specific that you wanted to live? I was going to ask.
Well, anywhere where I can be outside most of the day. I mean, now it's, you know, since the coronavirus started in March, and into now where the school holiday started this Monday. I mean, it's been really nice. I've been doing a lot of cycling, being a lot outside. But now now it's back to normal. It's pissing down, and it's, you know, now that people have
same here in the UK.
Yeah, and you know, then in the winter it's like you are kind of a lockdown for like November to March or April, you know. Which I don't enjoy. I love to be outside, and I love to use my body and, you know, be with riders and can prepare them for the World Championship. And we will see what happens. I don't know.
So that's the thinking behind Spain then, somewhere that's going to be sort of decent weather all round.
Yeah, but you know, I also I've just built this new house for myself. But who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? We don't know, Lee. We don't know what's going to be around the corner.
We don't know.
Thank God for that.
Yeah, exactly that. Right, before we go, is there any shout-outs or anything you want to make or anything like that? You've obviously mentioned your training school.
So just... Can you...
that's right. Yeah, I thought you would.
No, just you know, for people to stay safe, and hopefully everyone will get through this coronavirus, and you know, we can get back to a little bit of normal, because it's very frustrating also for me. You know, it's like I really want to help and do and work, and you don't know if the championship will start up. And you know, I was getting a good cooperation with Alvin Östlund, which also been riding in the UK, and really wanted to help him this year, but now there's been no races, and now it's a difficult situation for a rider like that as well, because he's moving from MX2 up to the MX1. So but you know, no, I don't have any shout outs. It's just everyone stay safe, and I hope that, you know, we're going to see each other at the track soon.
Really appreciate you doing the interview.
And I really enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it. Top man you are. Really enjoyed it. Much appreciated, mate.
No problem.
Thank you very much, Brian.
Thanks a lot.
Get to speak to you soon.
Yeah. Have a
Cheers,
good
mate.
evening.
Thank you.
Yeah.